Thanks, Rahz. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it, believe it or not. So I'm an Australasian. So what that is I grew up in Canada, so I really am Canadian. I've lived in Australia for the last 11 or 12 years. I've always been in the fitness business. I kind of did a reverse role, whereas the first people I ever trained, it was in university, trained the women's hockey team. If you know anything about Canada and hockey, one of the girls won. She was on the Olympic team that year. So the first year I trained, she made the Olympic team. And if you know anything about hockey, Canada, you know that we actually won a gold medal. So the first people I ever people I ever trained, one was an Olympic gold medalist, and then I kind of just went downhill from there and just trained normal people. But that's kind of what I loved. Trained for a lot of years, decided, I think I have something. I kind of had that feeling. I'm like, I have something to give back to the industry. So I started speaking on exercise and kind of program design, that sort of stuff. And because I lived in Australia and a lot of the stuff, I was speaking at conferences were over in America, I was like, man, I need to figure out this Facebook thing because, I need more people to find out who I am because it felt like I was the only person that really didn't know how to use it. So did what any smart person would do is, hired a coach, took some courses, started doing it. And then a lot of people I met through speaking would ask me for help. And they're like, hey, can you help me do this? I'm like, okay. They're like, you should do this for other trainers. And I was like, nah. Now I'm like, I don't want to be the Facebook guy. I'm like, I want to be the trainer geek. And so that childish behavior went on for about 2 years. And then I realized, there's a lot of great people that talk about exercise. There's not a lot of integral people that help you with your marketing, especially at that time with Facebook. So I was like, I kind of have my why moment. And I was like, F this. I'm gonna do this full time. It's kind of, be what I do. And if I'm the Facebook guy, I'll be okay with that now. So you gotta create some awareness about who you are. You have to put something out there to people that's not saying hey, buy my stuff, right? Because good thing is no one's doing that, really. There's very few people that are doing that, so you get to stand out because it's getting more competitive. So how can you stand out? Because if everyone's just putting up, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, the consumer's gonna make a decision on the best deal or the best offer. And if someone's, say, doing a 4-week free, boot camp, and you're offering a 4-week, program that's $250, and they don't know the difference between the two of you, you can't fault them for picking the free one because, they're really not out anything. So building up that trust. Easiest way to do that, get a video testimonial from a client. And if you can't get a video testimonial from a client, then I'm concerned because if someone won't give you a testimonial, take that video testimonial, put it on your page, promote it for $1 a day. Right, simple, $7 a week. Should be within everyone's budget, and that'll start to raise some awareness so people start to get to know you. So that'd be tip number 1. Tip number 2, if you have a website, put your Facebook pixel on it. No matter, even if you're not ready to market, put your Facebook pixel on there. So what a Facebook pixel is, if you've ever been on Amazon and you looked at something and you didn't buy it, and then that thing follows you around forever until you buy it, that's a pixel, right? So you put that on your site. If you don't know how to do it, that's cool. Go on Fiverr, you can pay someone $5, they can go do it. It's super simple. If you know what you're doing, if you don't know what you're doing, it's super where do I go? Those are probably the top 2. A third one would come back to create more awareness. It's building up that trust because there's 2 things that are going to make someone convert into what you're doing. It's the strength of the offer or how much they know, like, and trust you. I think probably one of the bigger mistakes that people make when they start to run any kind of paid ads or on Facebook, even Instagram as well, is that you're kind of shoving your message in front of these people that have never heard of you before instead of kind of warming them up. So it's the equivalent of when you're trying to build a relationship, whether it's just a new friendship or you're trying to pick up someone at the bar. You're not going to be oh, Rahz, oh, hey, we just met. You're New York? No, really? I'll be there next week. I have nowhere to stay for 2 weeks. You don't mind if I crash, right? Of course you're going to say no. And that's kind of the mistake a lot of people make when they start out is they just put out their stuff. It's hey, sign up for my program. But they don't even know who you are. They don't know what you do. They don't know if they like you. So why would you ever give anyone money or give them your time, to actually spend with them when you have no idea, what they're like? So I think kind of that's a mistake. And then unfortunately, a lot of people say, well, Facebook doesn't work for me. I tried it once and it doesn't work. So I like to give this analogy. So if you've tried Facebook once and it didn't work and that's what you did, I want you to go look in the mirror and imagine a client just said, well, I tried eating salad once and I didn't lose any weight. What's wrong? So whatever you would say to that, that's what you need to hear for yourself if you tried it once and it didn't work. if you have a pretty good understanding of marketing, your avatar, like, their pain points, you understand your program, like the benefits, and you kind of understand, talking benefits instead of features, then I think it's going to be a lot easier for someone that really doesn't know how to use the Facebook platform to market on there. But if your marketing, acumen or your knowledge isn't the best, then you're probably going to struggle because you're having to learn how to become a better marketer, but then also you have to try to figure out the kind of the Facebook platform. And a lot of people get caught up on, like, actually probably the biggest one they get caught up on is like the cost per click, like how cheap your cost per click is. And it doesn't really matter, like you could get 5-cent clicks, but if no one ever signs up, it doesn't matter, you're just wasting money. And then after that, what I would look at is, it just becomes pretty simple math to look at other stuff, is just look at like, what is your conversion rate like of getting people to actually get on your list? So if you're sending them to a landing page and it's a 10% conversion rate, then if you spend $100, then if your landing page is converting at 10%, you're gonna get 10 leads. And then from there, you'll know, well, out of those 10 people, maybe 3 of them never answer their phone. You set up an appointment with like 7 people, and then again, maybe 2 sign up, then your cost per acquisition is $50. So I think sometimes we start at the front and go this way instead. We need to start at the back, like almost reverse engineer, like what's it cost to get someone to pay me? What's it cost to get someone to actually like give me their details? Then I would look at what's your cost per click. Then that can kind of matter, but if you don't know those two first, you got things backwards. Because that's why if you figure out what your cost per acquisition is, it's a lot easier to spend the money, because okay, roughly it's gonna cost me this much to get someone, so okay, I can spend a bit more money and you feel okay about it, but it doesn't really help you at the start. So depending on your budget, I typically tell people, if you're trying to get them to opt into your landing page, or you're driving a conversion of some sort, I would either start with $10 a day if you have a low budget. If you have a little bit more money, I'd start with $20 a day, because you don't want to give Facebook too much money, but you also don't want to give it too little. It's going to take time for it to actually see whether or not something's happening. The hardest thing after that is to not look at your ads for 2 days. Because most people want to like get in there like, oh my gosh, it's been 3 hours and I've got no leads. What's going on? Something's wrong. Let me change something. Give it about 2 days. I always tell people, like, just if you run an ad, step away for 48 hours and then come back, because you're definitely going to make a decision based on bad data, because the ad hasn't been shown to enough people. If it's working well, typically what I would tell you to do, if you've not been, if you're not really advanced, or you've done a lot of it, I would just scale every 2 to 3 days by just 50%, right? Just let it keep going up. Now, how much can you spend? I mean, you can spend as much as you want, but again, that's where it comes down to, like, what's it cost per acquisition? What's it cost per new lead? So you can reach me on Facebook, right? It kind of makes sense with the Facebook guy. You reach out to him on Facebook. So just Scott Rawcliffe. I'll spell my last name so you don't get confused, because it's raw, like as in like raw sushi, R-A-W, and then cliff, like a little mountain with an E on the end, not Rawcliffe. So Rawcliffe. Scott, come see me. I'm waiting for you.